Hi, this is Tim Yoder with Fit Small Business. This video is for recording the Chapter 2 in the Fit Small Business case study to complete the rubric for the Wave Accounting software. So Chapter 2. Record a utility bill dated January 10th, 2021 from New York City Electric Company for $150. That is due on 1/20/2021, and assign the expense to the admin class. Okay, so in Wave, looks like under purchases, we go to bills. First, we have to add a vendor. Let's see if we can do that on the fly. So let's do create a bill, vendor, add a new vendor, New York City Electric Company. Looks like that's the only thing required. Let's add the vendor. Okay, the bill date is January 10th. The due date is January 20th. Does give us a spot for a purchase order, bill number, some notes, so that's nice. Item, we don't have any items set up. Nice to see that we'll have that opportunity here in a moment. Let's choose the expense of utilities. Description, we'll just put monthly utilities. Price of $150. We're not going to have to pay any tax on it. Okay, so it looks like that's all required. That's required, so we can add the bill. Nice. Okay. Well, that was very simple. Now, can we attach a receipt to that bill? Let's open the bill back up. I don't see a place here to attach a receipt. Now, I know that Wave does have a receipt capture tool. The question is, how do we do that? Okay, I'm going to have to do some research, so I will come back to that one towards the end of the video. But I'm not seeing how to attach a receipt, but I know that it's possible. Okay, so in the rubric here, yes, very going to score Wave, so very easy to create a vendor, very easy to record an expense, the due date, copy of the receipt. I don't know yet. I'm going to have to look a little bit more about that. Okay, so going on to the next item in the chapter, record the purchase of a miter saw by uploading this receipt. Okay, we'll handle the receipts towards the end here. Next step, record a recurring monthly expense of $150 for telephone service. The expense is automatically paid from the checking account on the 5th of each month. Okay, so let's record the bill. So let's create a bill. Now, is it going to allow us to make this a recurring payment? No. Let's see if there's another place to create bills. Just kind of exploring here. Say, okay, here's the receipts feature we're looking for. Wave Receipts now lives on the transactions page. Okay, well, why don't we have a transaction for the bill we just entered? Interesting. All accounts. So the bill we just entered goes into our accounts payable. So apparently this transaction has to be something from the cash. Interesting. So what do you do? Add an expense from here. So this is another way. So this would be a way to enter an expense directly. So if you're going to pay it at the same time that you're looking at the bill, but you're not going to be able to enter all that nice information that the bill gave us. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. And it looks like this was an accidental entry as well on July 30th. So I'm going to delete that as well. So this doesn't show our bills. Okay, so I'm just going to go into edit here. Actually, let's see what more we've got. So this is the journal entry we entered from chapter 1. Okay, well, so let's go back to bills. So I'm still not saying where to attach any receipts. So let's go back to bills. Let's create this bill. So we want to create a recurring bill for $150. Let's create a new vendor. It's for telephone service, so I'm just going to call it New York City Telephone. And we want to record it the 5th of every month. January 5th. We're going to just pay it the 5th of every month. So we're going to have it due that same day. Bill number, expense category. Again, let's just see if they have a separate one for telephone. They do, so let's record it to the telephone. We'll call this automatic monthly payment for $150. Okay, let's save that. Okay, well, now we have that bill, so now we can pay it. Let's see what other choices we have. So we can record a payment, view, edit. So we could duplicate it so that we can get a head start on next month's, but there's no way to make it a recurring entry. So let's just go ahead, record the payment from checking for $150 on what was it, January 5th. And we want to make sure we want to pay it from our checking account. Okay, so we paid that. So yeah, that's very unhandy. So we can't create a recurring payment, and we can't even create a payment without creating an invoice first. So most programs, when you create a bill, you can pay it immediately. This program, you can't. You have to do it in 2 steps. Okay, now let's go back to the accounting transactions, and I want to see if that transaction now shows up. Okay, so now we do show the payment. So it doesn't show, these transactions don't include transactions just recording a bill, which affects your accounts payable. It only records transactions that affect your credit cards where you're actually making a payment, like your credit cards or your checking account. Okay, so we have this on here. Now, would it be possible to attach an invoice? Here we go. Now that we have a transaction, we can attach a receipt. Okay, well that's pretty inconvenient. So you have to record the bill, pay the bill, and then you can attach a receipt. So you can't even attach a receipt when it's only a bill. You have to wait till you actually pay the bill to attach the receipt. Well, that I like to attach the invoice as soon as I receive it. Okay. Although I guess a receipt is that you actually paid it. So maybe that's not horrible, but still, it's not great that it's in two steps, right? You can't attach the receipt where you paid the bill. You have to come over here into transactions to attach the receipt. Okay, so let's score Wave here. So attach a copy of the receipt. I'm going to give it half a point instead of the full point because you can't do it in the same step. So I'm going to put that in the explanation. Okay. Okay, so now going back up to the second step, they want us to record the purchase of a miter saw from Lowe's by uploading this receipt. So it gives us a copy of the receipt. Can I create a transaction from that? Well, let's see. What if I add an expense, immediately drop down? Again, I don't like adding a bill here because it doesn't give you all of the other nice fields you could enter, like bill number, information like that. And you can't use an item here, which we'll start to use in a little bit when we work with some inventory. So I don't like entering bills on this screen at all. But so I just created a new bill. Let's see what happens when I drag this receipt to it. So I'm pulling up a PDF of a receipt. Okay, let me download it so I can transfer it in here. Okay, so this is a receipt from Lowe's for a saw. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it put the receipt there. Okay, but that doesn't really do us much good, right? We can see the receipt, but it's not creating a transaction from the receipt. It's merely, I guess it did. Oh no, that's just today's date. Yeah, so all it did was attach the receipt. It did not create the transaction from the receipt. That's a big difference. Okay, so I'm just going to delete this transaction. We're going to go ahead and enter it in properly. Why didn't it delete it? Okay, there, now it's deleted it. Okay, there we go. So let's go back to bills. So purchases, bills, and let's record this purchase of a saw. So new vendor, Lowe's. The date on the receipt is August 14th, but let's keep everything in January. So I'm going to do January 14th. I paid for it immediately. So expense category, I don't know, do we have something for tools? I guess we have to create a new one. Okay, does not let us do that on the fly here. Let's see if it gives us a, oh, that's inconvenient. It does not give us a way to add an expense on the fly. Okay, so we're going to have to go to the accounting. We're going to have to chart of accounts. Expenses, let's add a new account. I'm going to call this small tools. Okay, now we got to go back to purchases. Oh, wrong. Purchases, bills. Okay, create a bill. Got to start all over because it wouldn't let us add. We're doing January 14th. Okay, now we should have small tools. A miter saw for 200 and, let's make sure $301.09. That includes sales tax. I don't want to show sales tax separately because I want to show that as part of the cost. So save. Okay, now we got to pay it because this was paid for at the time. So now we got to go through a separate step and record the payment. From checking Okay, so let's grade Wave on this. So record the purchase of a miter saw by uploading a receipt. Well, we can we can attach a copy of the receipt, so I'm going to give it credit for that. Send a copy of a receipt through the app. We didn't do that, but I know that you can. They have a Wave Receipts app, so I'm going to give it credit for that. So is the receipt read and transaction created, or is it just attached? It is just attached. So some software like QuickBooks will actually read it and create a transaction. Okay, the next step, can you create a recurring expense? You cannot. Okay, so that catches us up on the rubric, going on to the next item. So set up an inventory item for plumbing widgets. Now I do think this is something that Wave does, hopefully, a decent job of. So under purchases, let's go to products and services, and let's add a product or service, and we're going to call these plumbing widgets. Okay. Okay, products and services that you buy from vendors are used as items on bills to record those purchases, and the ones that you sell to customers are used on items as invoices. Okay, excellent. So this allows us, we want to both buy and sell. So we're going to sell it and we're going to buy it. Very nice. Now, the question is, when they're asking for the price, I don't know what they mean. Do they want to know the price that we buy it for, or do they want to know the price that we sell it for? Regardless, that's generally just a default price, and we'll be able to change it on the invoices. So let's go ahead, and since the first thing we're going to do is purchase it, let's go ahead and put the purchase price, which is going to be $10 per widget. Okay. When we sell the plumbing widgets, what income account do we want it to go to? We want it to go to sales. When we buy the widget, What expense account do we want it to go to? I don't want it to go to an expense account. I want it to go to an inventory account. So let's go ahead and save this. Nope, it's not letting us. Okay, well, tell you what, let's see if we can open up two tabs at one time so that we don't lose all of this. So let's go, I would need to create a inventory account. So let's go to Accounting, Chart of Accounts, Open Link in New Tab. We'll see if it lets us work in two tabs at once. Okay, Cash in Bank. Okay, see, this is a problem. It has an inventory account, but it is not letting you map your inventory purchases into that inventory account. So that's no good. Okay, but we'll have to try to deal with it. Yeah, so we're adding a product or service, we're purchasing it. Why in the world wouldn't we want to put it in the inventory account? Why would you have a product item that you can't map to the inventory account? Okay. Well, so it's not going to keep a perpetual inventory system like we like. We're going to have to record it to our cost of goods sold account and then make a manual inventory adjustment at the end of the year. Okay, well, they don't even have a cost of goods sold account. Let's come over here again. So what do we have? Under expenses, here we go. So it won't even let us route it to their cost of goods sold account. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense at all. Right? So we're going to buy this product and we are not allowed to put it into the cost of goods sold account. Is there, what does this do? Okay, so here we go. So it's not showing it automatically, but I hit that plus button. Okay, now can I come over here and select asset? Okay, so it's not letting me do that. Okay, so this is just creating a new account. Okay, so I'm going to create an account called Purchases Resell Items under Cost of Goods Sold. So then it let me okay, so maybe that was that there all the time, parts and purchases. Let me look at my chart of accounts again. Oh, here, let's look at my chart of accounts over here. Okay, so that must have been there all the time. Okay, so it's under expenses, it's listing both expenses and cost of goods sold. So let's put this to, yeah, purchases, yeah, resell items. Okay, so that's an expense, it's a cost of goods sold. It's not inventory. So that is not great. But we can create an item. Unfortunately, it's not going to record it as inventory. Okay, so in the rubric, can we create an inventory item? I'm going to give it half a point with a comment that it is mapped to the cost of goods sold, not to inventory. Okay, so back to our case study here. So we've set up an inventory for plumbing widgets, record a purchase order on 1/5 for 150 plumbing widgets from the widgets guy for $10 per widget. We cannot do we can't do purchase orders. So purchases, we have bills, and that's it. So no purchase orders. So we cannot create a purchase order. On 1/15/2021, you receive 100 widgets ordered for the $10 per unit. The invoice is dated 1/14 and due 1/24. So now we actually received it. Now we can actually enter the invoice. So let's go to bills, create a new bill. This is going to be from the widgets guy. Okay, the bill is dated January 14th. It is due 10 days later on the 24th. Okay, and on the notes we'll put 100 plumbing widgets. Okay, now here, instead of an expense category, we are going to choose plumbing widgets. And notice it automatically gives us our purchases resale items. I wonder if we can change this now to inventory. We can. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to change that to inventory because that's where we really want this to be. 100 widgets at $10. Quantity of widgets is 10. No, quantity is 100. Price is 10 for a total of $1,000. Excellent. Okay. So let's save this. I wonder if it's having trouble saving it because I changed that expense category. Let's go to bills, see if it shows up. Let's change the screen. Let's go to vendors. I seem to be kind of frozen up. Okay, there we go. There, it finally created it. It said so. Bills, the widgets guide, unpaid. Okay, there we go. Okay, so a rubric here. So create a bill for the purchase of inventory. I was able to do that. Okay, now we want to, according to the case study, okay, on 1/15, you receive it. So we want to view the inventory units available and on purchase order. So we have 100 available, 50 on purchase order. Obviously, we're not going to see the 50 on purchase order. So I think probably about the only place we're going to have a chance of doing this is in products and services. So we have the plumbing widgets. Is there anywhere that's keeping track of how many we have? I seriously doubt it. Okay, let's keep looking though. Under products and services, in sales, no, it's the same thing. So again, this is similar to other free or inexpensive software. So it gives you an inventory item you can create, but really all that inventory item does is show up on invoices so that you don't have to retype everything. Although this one will map it to accounts, it maps it to the wrong accounts, unfortunately. You have to change it. But it does not keep track of the quantity of the inventory. And so that's a very big problem because without the quantity of inventory, you can't you can't calculate the cost of inventory sold. You have to keep track of the cost on a per unit basis, and so you're going to have to use a spreadsheet to do that, since this program doesn't do that. Okay, let's check one more place. So let's look in our reports and see if it has any sort of inventory report before we write it off here. Profit and loss, balance sheet, sales tax, income by customer. That's nice. Aged receivables, purchases by vendor, aged payables, account balance, trial balance, account transactions. Okay, that's a pretty decent list of reports. But it does not have anything about inventory. Let's take a quick shot of the balance sheet here. Other current assets. Let's look at this. Oh, I guess we clip details up here. Inventory of $2,000. That should only be $1,000. Interesting. So let's go back to transactions. It had trouble saving it, so I'm wondering. Well, it's not showing up yet because we haven't paid it. So let's go to purchases and bills. Yeah, it recorded it twice. Probably because I hit the record button twice because it wasn't doing anything. So let's delete it. Okay, now let's take another look. Okay, so it is showing our $1,000 of inventory, and it's showing our accounts payable. Those are our bills we haven't paid yet. Okay, so view inventory available. That's what we're trying to do in the rubric. No, we cannot view the inventory available. I mean, we see the cost of total inventory on the balance sheet, but that's not the same thing. I want to know how many units of inventory are available, because if the program doesn't know that, the program can't calculate the cost of units when they get sold. View inventory on purchase order, we can't do that. View total cost of inventory on hand, we can do that looking at the balance sheet. View total units of inventory on hand, we cannot do that. Okay, there we go. Okay, next step here, on January 25th, you receive the remaining 50 widgets, but at a price of $11 per unit. Well, we can do that. Just record the purchase, create a bill from the widgets guy, January 25th. Actually dated January 24th. Due February 3rd. Okay. And this is for plumbing widgets. Again, I'm going to manually change this to the inventory account. This is 50 at $11. So quantity 50, 11, $550. Save. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to do a little bit of project accounting. So we want to be able to record expenses and assign them to projects for a particular customer. So let's first set up our customer. So let's go to sales and customers. Okay, and our customer is named Family Bowling. Okay, we are going to use United States dollars. And obviously we could fill out the rest of this, but for the sake of time, we won't. Okay, so there we've set up our customer. So this looks pretty nice. Actually looks like you're going to be able to get a summary of what's happened, excuse me, with this customer. Okay, what do we got over here? Create invoice. Oh, and you can create some items directly from a customer. Okay. Good. So the thing I do not see here is anywhere that we can create projects. So let's go down here to settings and let's just make sure we're not missing something in settings. No. Okay. So we cannot do projects in Wave, which was what I had thought. So we set up the customer for family bowling, but we cannot set up the project, which was going to be called bathroom renovations. Okay, so in the rubric, can we create a project? No. Okay, but let's go ahead. Okay, so within this project, we pay Hank Independent, who is an individual, for contract work. We pay him $30 per hour for 40 hours. We're eventually going to bill him out for $80. Okay, so a couple of things here. So Hank Independent, we're going to need to set him up as a vendor. So let's go into purchases, vendors, and let's add a vendor called Hank Independent. Okay, and this is nice. So he's an independent contractor. We're going to have to report his income to him on a 1099, so we can actually mark that right here. Excellent. And so he's an individual. We'll enter social security number for him. Okay, and we won't worry about filling out the rest of the information. But that's very nice. It's going to track him as an independent contractor. Oh, it's going to make us fill out stuff. Okay, Hank Independent. Hank at independent.com, Iowa. Okay, I tell you what, I'm just going to put him over to regular. Okay, so we can see that we can do the independent contractor if we need to, but you have to fill out all that information so they have it for the form. So that's all good, but let's not waste our time with that at this point. Okay, so we set up the vendor. Now we're going to pay Hank $30 per hour for plumbing labor. So let's set up a service item for plumbing. So let's go to product and services, and let's add a product or service, and let's call this plumbing labor. And in the description, we'll just call it plumbing labor as well. Okay, and the price for this plumbing labor, we're going to pay Hank $30 per hour. And we want to both add this to invoices and bills because we're going to bill it to the client. So when we bill it to the client, we are going to put it under services income. And when we buy it, we are going to put it under a cost of goods sold. And I do think we'll have to create a new one here. We want cost of goods sold labor. So let's create a new account. It'll be in cost of goods sold. And we will call it subcontractors expense. Save. Okay. Excellent. So we've got that plumbing labor set up. Okay. Now let's go ahead and record the payment to him. So let's go to purchases, bills, create a new bill. This is the Hank Independent, and it was on 1/15. Due immediately. Okay. And in notes here, we're going to put that this was 30 hours on 30 hours on family bowling, bathroom renovation, because that's about all we can do here. Unfortunately, we can't assign this expense to family bowling. We can't assign it to a project called bathroom renovation. So plumbing labor is our item, automatically going to subcontractor's expense, description plumbing labor. So all that's actually kind of nice. And this was for 40 hours. Oops, I accidentally said 30 up here. 40 hours at $30. So it did fill in the 30. That's kind of nice. So that's $1,200 to Hank Independent. Save. Now we got to go in and pay it. I'm going to pay him with a check out of our checking account. Okay, there we go. So we were able to pay him. It does track it as an independent contractor. That's pretty nice. Unfortunately, we can't assign it to a customer to bill. Have to keep track of that. Again, probably have to use a spreadsheet. Have to keep track of the expenses, including contract labor, etc., that we're going to bill to a particular client because the program's not doing it for us. Okay, another item for the family bowling bathroom is a $200 permit on January 5th. So let's create a bill. We're going to have a new vendor here. We need a permit, so I'm just going to call it New York City. And the date was January 5th. And we are paying it immediately. Again, it'd be really nice if we could record the bill and the payment at the same time. This is a permit for family bowling. Bathroom renovation. Renovation. Okay. There we go. Unfortunately, we can't assign it to anything again, so expense category will just be, we need a cost of goods sold other account. Can we add an expense from here? We can't add an expense on the fly. That's annoying. Okay, well, let's go back up here to our other tab, see if we can do it there. So let's add an expense. We want to make it a cost of goods sold. Okay, let's go back here, see if it shows up now. May have to refresh this screen. Might lose everything, we'll see. Yeah, we lost everything. Okay, so vendor, New York City, January 5th. Yeah, not being able to add accounts on the fly is really kind of inconvenient. Okay, we could put that note I had put in there, but I'm not going to worry about it for the sake of time. Other cost of goods sold. Permit for family bowling. Bathroom. Okay. $200. Again, we'd love to assign this to the client so we can remember to bill it, but we can't. But let's at least remember to pay it. Record the payment. Okay, so what we're able to achieve here, create an independent contractor and track for 1099 payments. Yes, we were able to track him as an independent contractor. Create a service item. Yes, We're able to do that. Set a default cost of the service item. Yes, we were. Set a default sales price for the service item. We were not able to do that. So we can only enter the one price, and that's the cost price. And that did show up when we purchased it, and that was kind of nice. Pay the independent contractor using the service item. We could do that. So that was nice. Designate the payment to the independent contractor as billable to a customer. We weren't able to show it as billable to Family Bowling. Designate the payment as billable to a project. No, we weren't able to create a project. Okay. So now moving on in the program, in the chapter it asks, view the expenses incurred but not yet invoiced for the Family Bowling restroom renovation. So that means we've paid Hank Independent $1,200. We paid the $200 permit fee. We now need to bill those to the clients. Can we view all of these things that need billed yet? And no, because we weren't able to assign them to a client. So it's not tracking expenses that need to be billed. So we cannot view the unpaid. We can't view the paid bills yet to be invoiced. Can we view the unpaid bills? I believe we can do that. So here actually is where we're seeing all the unpaid bills. So amount due. Can we filter by unpaid? No, we can filter by vendor. That's not a horrible thing. So we can, well, we'd have to scroll through here if there's a large number, but we can see the unpaid bills. Also, let's go to reports. Is there an unpaid bills report? I think there's like an accounts payable report. Aged payables. Let's take a look at that. And there we go. And that gives us our unpaid bills. Okay, so I'm going to say yes, we can view our unpaid bills. We want to view a list of vendors. So I do think we have a pretty nice list of vendors under purchases. Good. We can view a list of vendors, so that's decent. View an unpaid list, unpaid bills summarized by vendor. So here it does not look like here we have the unpaid bills. What if we go to bills? Yeah, and here we can. So we can pull up a particular vendor. We could look at, say, who do we owe bills to? The widgets guy. We could filter by the widgets guy and show all of his bills. So I'm going to say we can do that. View unpaid bills summarized by vendor. Okay. Also wants us to view a list of transactions by vendor. Okay, so let's see. Under vendors, I don't think we could do that, but let's take a look. So can we see all of the transactions? No, we can create bills. Not seeing transactions. What about from our transactions screen? So within our transactions, we can choose accounts, but we can't choose vendors. So it doesn't look like that's going to work. Okay, so let's go. I think we have something that we can see in reports. So what about this purchases by vendor? So it has purchases, paid purchases. Okay. Okay, so what it asks is asks us to view a list of transactions by vendor. You know, I'm not going to give it credit for that. That's some decent information, but I would like to see a list of transactions by vendor, and that's not it. So we're not giving him credit for that. Okay, record an e-payment of a bill. So let's see. The chapter is asking us to record an electronic payment of the utility bill on 1/20. So let's go to our bills. Oops, purchases, bills. Okay, So we're recording the, what was it, utility bill on 120. That was this $150. So let's record a payment. So we'll say it's an other, since it's an e-payment. We're going to say it comes out of our checking account, and we'll just call it e-pay. So we're not actually initiating the e-payment, but that's not what the chapter is asking us to do. It's just asking us, can you record it without recording it as a check? And yes, we did that just fine. So record the e-payment of a bill is fine. The next step is pay the $1,000 owed to the widgets guy with a check. So that's this bill. Now we can record a payment. What's our other options? So we can record a payment, and we can say it's a check, and we could give it a check number. Okay, but what we can't do is we can't actually print a check. And that's what this step is really asking for. So let's go ahead and save this. We recorded the check payment, but we still got to write the check. So we're going to have to write it out by hand or something like that. And so we are not going to give it credit for that. So can we print a check from the program? No, we cannot. Can we record the check number in the register? Yes, at least we can do that. Actually, no, it's not going to show up in the register. We put it in the memo, but I don't think that's going to be enough. So let's look at our transactions list. This is essentially the register. Okay, and let's look at our register for our checking account. Oh, you know what? I've been making these bill payments on the wrong date. And I think I made my last bill payment check all wrong, didn't I? I think I put it to the wrong account. Yeah. So okay, so I need to edit this. So this needs to be from the checking account. Okay, and this needs to be, according to the program, we paid this on $124. Yeah, and you can see even here that memo I put is not showing up. So there's nowhere in here is it showing us a check number, which is going to make it hard to reconcile accounts later. So we cannot show the check number in the register, so I'm going to give it a 0 for record check number. Okay, let's go ahead. We need to fix these payment dates here. So payment of $1,200 to Hank was on January 15th. Okay, payment of this $200 was also January 5th. And payment of the New York City phone, that was the e-payment, that was done on January 20th. Okay, great. Okay, so I think we're all caught up here. Okay, now it's wanting us to short pay a bill. So pay $400 of the $550 owed to the widgets guy. Okay, let's see if we can do this. So let's go to bill payments. and we owe $550 and we're wanting to pay $400 of it. So let's record a payment, and we're going to make it on. So this is, we'll just say it's a check again. We're going to, nice, we can change the amount here to $400. Very nice. And so we're making that on January 25th. And let's make sure we change this to our checking account. Very cool. And then it shows that the total bill is $550, the amount due is $150. Very nice. So it does let you short pay an invoice. Very cool. Okay. Next, on 2/12, return one plumbing widget to the widgets guy for a refund of $11. The widgets guy issues you a credit that can be applied toward future purchases. Okay, so we've already got the widgets guy mostly paid up. Now we need to record a credit from the widgets guy. I am not. Record a payment, view, edit, duplicate. I am not seeing anywhere here to create a credit. No. So I'm sure there's a way you can go around and figure out a way to do it. You'd have to probably let's look at transactions. You'd have to enter some sort of journal entry or something, but the system does not allow you to have credits from your vendors. Yeah, so you could do it with a journal entry, but you're not going to be able to assign it. Let's just look at journal entries, but you're not going to be able to assign it to a vendor. Right, so you can assign it to accounts payable, but you're not going to be able to assign it to accounts payable with widgets guy. So that's really not a very good solution. I mean, it's what you'd have to do, but that's not good. Okay, so we are going to give it a big 0 for record a credit from the vendor. Decrease inventory for units returned to the vendor. It's not tracking units, so we can't do that. Plus, we can't record the credit. Okay, and apply the vendor credit to a new invoice. Nope, can't do that because we can't record the credit. Okay. Good. So going back to the program here, so on the case study on 2/12, returned one plumbing widget. We weren't able to do that. On 2/15, purchase 10 plumbing units for $11 each. Issue a check for the bill, but after applying the $10 credit. So we'll go ahead and we'll do the net effect of all of this, but we weren't able to do it the way we want to do it, which is through recording a credit invoice and then using it to offset the bill. But we'll go ahead and record this purchase. So basically we have another spreadsheet now. Now we have a spreadsheet we're keeping track of our credits from our vendors on. Good program. You don't want to have a bunch of spreadsheets. So we can create a bill to widgets guy. So again, what we're doing is we're purchasing 10 more widgets, but we're going to reduce it by the amount of our refund that we weren't able to record. So on 2/15, and we're going to pay for it immediately. Okay, so here we'll describe it. 10 units at $11 less $11 credit from 2/12. Remember to put it into inventory. Quantity. Yeah, this might be hard. So quantity, we are actually, we'll put quantity 9. Actually, it doesn't keep track of quantity anyway, so let's just put quantity 1, $99 because that's what we want, right? We have $110 less the $11 credit is $99. So save. So we kind of worked our way around the whole credit thing. We never actually recorded the credit. We just took the credit manually. So again, kind of had a spreadsheet showing, oh, we have an $11 credit with the widgets guy. Let's reduce our payment by that amount. Not ideal at all. Okay, and that completes chapter 2 through the Wave software.